All right, welcome back. Another episode, Grounded Pound. Currently, Sam is away. He is maybe coming on at the later half of the show, maybe not. He's car shopping after getting in a car crash. Hunter, how are you doing though today?
I'm good. I'm good. Big week of fight news. Rest in peace, Bob Saget. So that fucking sucks.
Yeah, definitely sucks. Big fight news week. The card this weekend, for it being the first card of 2022, very below average. However, we'll kind of highlight some things. We'll kind of go over some picks. But let's get to the news first. The biggest news being UFC 272. We get the grudge match that everyone's been waiting on. Colby Covington, Jorge Masvidal. It's going to be headlining at T-Mobile Arena with a card that really doesn't have many fights on it yet. So I'm guessing it's going to have to be a loaded card because you're not going to have a title fight on there. Right now, the only other contender that I know that's going to be on that card is Bryce Mitchell.
Bryce Mitchell's guaranteed on that card?
Yeah, Bryce Mitchell's on that card.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm picturing this card being like the Diaz Masvidal 244, I believe it was, where they just had a loaded main card with just a bunch of top 5 guys into each division.
Yeah, a bunch of good fights. Masvidal's, I read something today, he's the second guy other than Conor McGregor to headline multiple main events, non-title fights.
I mean, the 2 competitors that he has is going to be Nate Diaz and Colby Covington, which are 2 very highly regarded names inside the UFC, especially amongst the fans. So it makes sense that he's getting these 2 fights. For Jorge, that's now what, 4 main events on pay-per-views? Because he has 2 with Usman?
2 with Usman and 1 with Diaz. So
that's incredible for him. I mean, how much do you want to touch on this? Because I know we'll be talking a lot about this probably for the next couple of weeks.
We're going to keep touching up on it every week. I'm excited for this fight. Best friends turn foes. You can't draw the headline of this any better. I'm excited for the build-up, the press conferences. It's going to be fun.
Now, originally on this card, it was supposed to be the Aljamain versus Jan fight, as well as Max Holloway and Volkanovski. We now know that Holloway's out. Korean Zombie's in. They moved both of these fights to UFC 273 in Brooklyn. Do you feel that Korean Zombie should have been the guy to get the nod and get now a title shot?
No, because one, he lost to Yair, who already puts him behind him. Obviously, Yair can't fight soon. I just don't think this is a fun fight at all.
No,
I think Volkanovski.
I don't like it. I mean, yes, he then bounced back, and I believe he beat Dan Ige. Korean Zombie did.
Yep.
But like, why are we not going to Ortega? Why are we not going to Cejudo? Like, we just saw Ortega. Granted, his last fight was the loss to Volkanovski. It was fight of the year.
Absolutely.
He had the greatest round in UFC history between the 2 of them.
The Korean Zombie. So that's the fight to make.
So I don't understand why we're skipping past Ortega. It doesn't seem like he said anything, so maybe he's okay with it. Maybe he's out due to injury and we just don't know that.
Well, he was out. No, he has broken orbital bone or something.
But I thought it was only a 6-month thing, and this would have been 8 months after, because that last fight was in August. So unless it's kind of lingered on longer than he expected, it didn't seem like he had too much to say about it. So if he's cool with it, we're cool with it. But Cejudo is not happy about it.
No, and that's the fight. That's the money fight. If Dana wants money, you got to bring Henry back.
You do that in New York City? Come on. Like, it's the same thing when you brought Usman and Covington to New York. People are going to be flying from all over the country to get to the biggest city in America.
And Henry Cejudo, he's really good at building up the fights. He's so cringy, but you buy into the cringe because you either want to see him get his ass kicked or make history again.
Right. And this just doesn't seem like a New York card. You don't have neither Volkanovski or Korean Zombie are American. So why are we bringing that to the most American city that there is in New York? Like, why is that the headline event?
That's a John Jones type of headliner. That'd be huge.
Or it's a fan favorite amongst Americans, whether that's a Joanna comeback, that would have made sense. Maybe not for a main event, but if you had her and maybe Rose say that is the next one in line, if it's not Carla, that would have made sense. But I don't really
Yep.
like the placement of 273. I think it's gonna be a loaded card still with Hamzat and Burns being added. But I don't know. I don't know if I like that main event and co-main
They're
combination.
gonna good fights to that card too. I think that fight the card top to bottom is gonna be stacked. So I'm excited for that regardless. But
Yeah, I think the main event and co-main actually might be two of the least what's the word I'm looking for? The least amount of excitement to bring to like a hardcore fan. Now I think casuals will love it because they love Volkanovski, but we'll see what happens. They also love to buy into the story of Aljamain, who he's had his beef now with Jan. Jan saying that they pushed it back a month so they could find a replacement in case he bails again.
I'm actually just excited for that fight. I'm excited for the build up to that whole entire fight. I think Aljamain, if anyone is gonna do it, like with how dominant Jan is right now, Aljamain still is the guy. He's got the best jiu-jitsu in that division. So I'm actually excited for that fight because I do want to see I want to see Aljo get his ass beat, but I can totally see Sterling pulling something crazy off.
Yeah, I don't think he has much of a chance unless this fight gets to the ground. Obviously, if it's a stand-up fight, Jan's gonna like pick him apart. Outside of him, the division is still loaded at the top, and if you add Henry Cejudo coming back into that, just makes for even more excitement inside that top five. Sandhagen's probably the only exception that wouldn't get a title shot right now, but I don't know. I think it's still going to be a good card just because it is New York and the UFC knows how important that market is to please. But we'll see what happens. What other fights were announced this week?
Let's see.
Dern and Torres.
Dern and Torres, I did want to touch on that. I think that's a stylistically a really good fight. That's a huge test for Mackenzie Dern because Miesha Torres is like a Cowboy Cerrone in the female division all these years.
Yeah, and if Dern wants to get back into the title conversation, she has to have a pretty dominant win here, I would imagine, which isn't something that like isn't probably expected from her in her camp. I would say that they would expect to win this fight.
I have no idea how in the hell is Miesha Torres and Mackenzie Dern the same weight. They don't look. I feel like that size is huge. That gap.
Yeah, I mean, it's the fight to make. I mean, I don't really know who else they could have possibly given Dern at this point. She's in between being at the top, and then she's way better than everyone that's on the
Right, unless
like the second tier, basically.
someone like Joanna would want to come back and make that like her comeback fight, but she's gonna want something way bigger than Mackenzie Dern.
Yeah, I mean, Mackenzie Dern to us is a big name. To the casual fan, not many people are going to probably know who that is.
The most male fans, she's a big name.
Agreed. And surfers. The other one was Kevin Holland and Oliveira.
Big Mouth and Oliveira. That's a absolute banger.
Let's see if Kevin Holland's wrestling is way better. I mean, he did do the Fury grappling competition. He, I believe, went to decision and lost. But that's still an improvement from what we've seen. We obviously saw him just get absolutely wrecked by Derek Brunson. And then
Blonde Brunson's a different animal. I mean, a lot of guys getting wrecked by him.
I know he's coming up on a title shot if he wins the next fight.
Knocking on the door. That division, it's pretty open. So
agreed. So I mean, for him to lose to Brunson, Blonde Brunson especially, it's really not saying much because that's like a huge stepping stone to try to overcome.
Absolutely. He's young.
Yeah, I mean, he's getting better and he knows what he needs to improve on, and we're seeing him put in at least the effort to do so. So we can't fault him for that. If it's not the top of the game, again, he's trying his hardest on this. So I at least respect that. Into this weekend, because I don't think there's any other news unless you have anything to touch on.
That's about it. Shout out Clay Guida. He won his grappling match against like a 4-time BJJ world champ, I believe. Clay Guida is just an animal, man.
Agreed. Actually, this is something that I wanted to mention. Invicta, I was watching it right before we hopped on here. They have the open scoring now. So they know what the judges have said round by round.
That's smart idea. See, I've been wanting that, because imagine knowing you're down 2 rounds and you need to finish. That will be the most exciting 5 minutes as a fan of martial arts.
See, as soon as that happened in one of the fights, the 2-0 person got really, really defensive and just said, like, I just can't get knocked out. Change their complete strategy, gets knocked out.
Jesus.
So I'm kind of indifferent on this. I kind of wish the fans knew what was happening with the scorecards and maybe the corners. I don't know if they should be announcing it like they were. Similar to like if you ever watch poker on TV, they always have like what the cards are. Obviously, no one else is going to know, otherwise that defeats poker. That is something that I wouldn't mind seeing, is if we can have a live view of what the judges have said, and then we can relay that to the corners, because I don't know if we want the actual fighter to have that in their mind.
If they do that, and obviously it's going to get to the corners, obviously it's like through a fans type stuff. So it's going to get to the fighters still. So I don't think they should just do it either at all, or like just open completely. I don't know.
My thing is, each corner is going to have a different fighter in front of them, and they're going to know the fighter better. If the fighter is completely comfortable knowing that they're up 2-0, then yeah, let's tell them that. If they need to be still pushed so that they can avoid a knockout, they can tell them the message that they want to get sent. That where I am.
Exciting third rounds though. That would just be exciting. But it also, I feel like it would change too much of the actual fight. I think we just need better fucking judges.
Well, we need to not have boxing judges is what it comes to.
Holy shit, yes.
But I don't know. I like the idea. I think they'll have to make some tweaks. I don't think they can continue to say one judge has it 20-18, the other 19-19. I think that kind of hurts the sport a little bit. Just because every person's different. They don't know if they want to know what the exact scores are. But yeah, this weekend's cards headlined by Calvin Kattar and Giga Chikadze. I believe I pronounced that correctly. Lackluster card, to say the least, if I'm being honest.
I'm just excited for fights, so I'm excited to watch the fights, drink a beer, be back to normal
fights, watch
the game, all the fights going on. But yeah, this is definitely a mid card. It's super exciting. Oh, there's some the main event's a very fun fight, and we'll touch on that. But top to bottom, it's hard to find like really good fights in this card.
This is a hard time to book fights too, because booking this fight meant that a lot of these fighters were going to have to give up their holidays to continue to weight cut. So I mean, it makes sense that this card isn't like the top of the standards that we've seen on previous cards. A lot of people are spending time with their families during this 3 weeks away. So I mean, I get it. I'm happy that we still have some star power though on this card. It's just some weird fights were made though, in my mind.
Yeah. We can touch on a couple. I believe the prelim main event's gonna be an absolute banger. If you guys have watched Jamie Pickett fight, he's super exciting. That's my I think fight of the night for sure. I'm excited for that one. Any prelim cards or fights that excite you?
I mean, I'm with you on the Jamie Pickett fight. He's been very entertaining inside the octagon, so I have no issue with that. I think the main card, the final 3 fights are the 3 that I'm actually excited for. So we do get 3 solid fights in my mind to at least end the night.
Yeah, and there's some decent names, formal title challengers, and Chikadze, and Maya.
I really like the Brandon Royval versus is it Rogerio Bontorin?
Yeah, Rogerio or something.
Rogerio. I really like that fight. This is uncharted territory for Royval. He's coming off 2 losses in a row for the first time in his career in any organization. The 2 losses, though, come to Brandon Moreno and Pantoja.
Yep.
And he was coming off of an injury before the Pantoja fight. So, I mean,
if you watch that Pantoja fight, he was winning that first round. And then Pantoja is just an absolute animal on the ground. But
I remember when the Royval Moreno fight happened, I actually had Royval winning that. It was crazy because I believe he fought 3 times in that year. And that was about to be like the big, he's going to be a star. And I believe it was his first 3 or 4 fights in the UFC where getting Brandon Moreno, winner then goes next month to fight Figueiredo.
Yeah.
So Royval's right there, and then he loses Pantoja, who beat Moreno before. So it's not like he's losing to just bad opponents. I think he's going to get in the right track again, though, with the Spontarin fight.
Bondarine is no slouch either.
No.
He's in that division too. He's one of those guys that if he wins this fight, he's right in the line to be a fight away from the title as well.
Yeah, I mean, both these guys have a lot on the line. Probably more for Bontarine just because I believe he's getting a little bit older. Royval's still very, very young. He's still got a lot of time to develop his skills. But it's likely that we could be seeing the winner of this fight in a title shot by the end of the year, possibly early 2023.
Yeah, there's a top 3 right now, top 4 at 25. So if you win this fight, you're right in the mix right there.
Then the next fight, Caitlin Chikadze versus Jennifer Maia. This is a rematch with Chikadze winning the first meeting of the two.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on this fight?
I love blonde fighter, man. Chikadze and her, if you watch her Instagram, man, she's cool as hell. And she beats almost everybody outside of Andrade and the champ, Valentina.
Right.
She literally fights 3-4 times a year and is 3-0 or 3-0, 3-1 consistently.
She's another one that with a pretty nice win here, we could be talking about a rematch for the title.
It probably wouldn't go any different, but
I don't think it would. But I mean, this division is basically to see who's the number one contender at this point. But then again, we also were saying this just weeks ago with Juliana Pena and Nunez. So who knows? It could always happen, but chances are very slim. I don't know. I think Chikadze could be the number one contender in this division still. I don't see any issue. I think Valentina's running out of options of who to fight. So unless we want to give her like the 6th or 7th ranked contenders at this point, or Miesha Tate coming down, I don't know what we possibly do.
Is that a rumor, the Miesha Tate actually going down to 25?
So she put it on her YouTube channel and then shared it on Facebook, I believe, which is how I saw it. She's thinking about going down a weight class because currently if she were to ever fight for the belt again, she would have to fight against Juliana Pena, who's one of her closest friends. She also knows that there's going to be a rematch with Nunez. If that happens, then there's a possibility that Kayla Harrison comes. If she can make weight, then she would get a chance. Valentina, if she wants to go up a weight class to try to become a double champ, that could be an option. So she knows that there's too many people in front of her that she's talking about possibly just going down a division where there's not many options for Valentina to fight that she hasn't fought already.
I think 25 would be the absolute best move for her because she's getting older. She's getting older.
Big 25er.
She'd be a huge 25, and her wrestling in clinch work would absolutely obliterate a lot of these 25ers. Like if we're talking about Chikadze being the number one contender, I don't think Chikadze beats Miesha Tate. So
no,
you're right in the title mix if she goes down to 25. And I'd love to see Miesha Tate in another title fight.
So currently Miesha Tate's a below average sized 35er. She's just barely below average. If she goes down to 25, she's going to be huge compared to everyone else.
Big Vieira was. She controlled the fight because she was just bigger. She could walk her down.
Yeah. So I mean, I like the move. I hope she makes that move. I have a feeling it's going to be more than likely that happens. The only thing she said was because she's getting older, the weight cut might be harder, but she also knows that ahead of time, so it really won't stand much in her decision.
Well, we gotta follow that. That could be huge. So
yeah, if she announces that, she's right in line for a title shot again.
Absolutely.
Especially with her being a fan favorite, you could easily have her on a co-main, possibly of a Conor McGregor or John Jones fight. I think that'd be awesome. And then the main event on Saturday night, Calvin Kattar, Giga Chikadze. Let's start with who do you have winning this fight?
I have Chikadze should win this fight. Now, this is a fight that Calvin Kattar has surprised me before when I bet against him, but Giga's, we're talking about title challengers. That's another. If he beats Calvin Kattar, finishes Calvin Kattar, something Max Holloway couldn't even do, you gotta put him right in that mix as well.
Yeah, if he wins this dominantly, there's no question. I have Kattar winning this fight though. We haven't seen him in a year. He was the first fight of 2021, ironically, when he got in an absolute war with Holloway, and it was really a one-sided war at that. but I have a feeling that the New England cartel as a whole kind of saw this past year as a little bit of a downfall from previous years. I think that he knows what he has to improve. We haven't really seen much of him. We haven't really seen much of the training videos on like any social media. I just see him coming out here fresh, kind of being able to pick apart based on the scouting that he's going to be doing. I think it's going to be a close fight. I have Kattar winning the fight, though.
This is going to be huge to see if Giga can go 5 rounds at
That's
the pace.
the other thing. The 5-round experience is huge because Kattar's
Kattar
done it twice.
He did it twice. He got hit in the face a record amount of times in the freaking Max Holloway fight. So Calvin Kattar can go the distance. I just don't think he makes it that far. If Giga Chikadze's level of striking and IQ is like above anyone in my opinion that division, other than Holloway.
I think if this fight goes past 3 rounds, it's going to be a Kattar victory. I think Giga's going to have to get on top of him, and by get on top of him, I mean apply pressure early in this fight.
Also, it's tax season, so everyone's getting their money back. We'll be throwing more bets your way if you want to, spend your tax money.
Most definitely. I actually still haven't received my taxes from 2021, which is a complete joke, but whatever. So, yeah, tax season's here, so we'll be putting out more picks. We'll be putting a lot more stuff on Instagram at WOC Maine. This, if you guys are listening to this currently on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, we're also now putting all of our podcasts on video. We have been doing that for a few weeks now, and that's over on the Winners Only Club YouTube channel. Really trying to build a presence there. When eventually Hunter, Sam, and I go to some of these UFC events, we'll be putting a little bit of like a behind the scenes vlog of all the media stuff. It's not going to be too professionally done because I'm not hiring a cameraman, but you guys will be at least able to see what goes into our fight week. I know a lot of the coverage is obviously going to be of the fighters, but we'll have a lot of fun. So go subscribe to us over there. And then, Hunter, do you have anything else that you want to say?
There's a lot of things we have in the works, and we're excited to do. A lot of just like you said, vlogging when we are able to travel and stuff, so you guys can see like us behind just the whole podcast. And
yeah, it's gonna be a little bit more. Not that we're completely PC on the podcast, but knowing the 3 of us, actually Hunter and Sam have never met in person yet, but knowing all 3 of us, it's going to be very un-PC. So I'm going to have to probably pick and choose what we actually put into a YouTube video. Yeah. Maybe we'll also have exclusive video on the website, winnersonlyclub.com, where we'll have maybe a full version of that so we don't get completely demonetized. And we'll kind of move from there.
We too crazy, with cancel culture. We got to keep it safe, keep it smart, but we'll show you some fun. That's for sure.
Yeah, we got a really big guest in the works. If it goes through, you guys are really going to love it. I'm just going to say, I think I said it on the last episode, if not 2 episodes ago, she is a fighter and she trains out of American Top Team. There's a lot of people in there.
There is.
So,
big name. And if you're thinking a big name, just think bigger. I promise you.
Just keep thinking bigger until you can't no more. That's enough for me. I don't know. You got anything else?
No. What was I going to say? Rest in peace, Bob Saget. And I'm a big Steelers fan. So our Pittsburghs are going to Arrowhead. I know this is NFL talk, but Steeler Nation, baby.
All right. See you guys.